Hello and welcome to another Your Partnerships Meets, and I'm so honored to have Corinne in the studio today. You've been out here before, though, haven't you?
I have been out here before. I'm an old timer now,
Well, it's
obviously.
been a little while though. Don't
I did
don't.
say old.
I was say don't use the word. I was about to say don't use the word old by any means, but I one thing that I'll say about her, and I'm going to let her talk a little bit, is I like to use the word passion, and she's very passionate about helping people, not just in the network, but people in the world, really, because it's not just business. But I know we're talking about businesses here on this particular set and this talk and everything. But yeah, helping people with their mental health. So tell us a little bit about your what you can do and how you can go and offer into the workplace. And I know you do this all over the country anyway, but
Yeah. I think the thing that we need to remember is that mental health at the moment is getting worse. It's not getting better. So many people are struggling, whether they're in work, out of work, because of the current economic
mm,
situation and the uncertainty. And I think if you think about it, whether you were for it or against it, we had the whole Brexit
yeah,
situation. We came out of that that was bubbling along and we hit COVID.
yep.
And that turned everybody's world upside down. Whether you had a good one, a bad one, you lost people, you didn't lose people. It just reframed our thinking. Since then, we've come out of that. We've had initially the petrol and fuel costs, and nobody could get petrol or diesel for
Hmm.
their cars. That upset people. We had the Ukraine war and all the press saying, "Is this when Putin's going to press the button? Is this the third world war?" We've had the economic situation. People worrying about, can they pay their mortgage? Can't they? That's then spiraled into the rental situation where some landlords are going, "Hey, it's too hot for me. I'm out of here," or
Yep.
they're putting their rents up. That's having a knock-on impact. And then again, regardless of which side of the fence you sit on, since then we've also had, recently the situation in Gaza. Um, and again, it's just bad news. When was the last time we
I was
had
about to say you're just
good
full of
news?
good news, aren't you?
Yeah, but that's regardless of where you're sitting
Yeah.
or how comfortable your own personal situation may or may not be, that seeps into a
Mm,
collective psyche, doesn't it?
yes.
And so all of that kind of adds up to a worsening situation. And we see that because the latest Deloitte and Touche figures say that the cost to the UK economy of poor mental health is about 45 billion pounds a year.
45 billion. That's just
Billion,
ridiculous, isn't it?
yeah. 72 million working days lost. We know, and it's commonly talked about, 1 in 4 of us will have a mental health issue every year. We're talking about a relationship breakdown, maybe a beloved pet passing away,
Mm,
a child sitting exams and you're really worried about them, those kinds of issues. But 1 in 6 people in work at any given time are experiencing symptoms of stress, anxiety, depression.
yep.
Well, you just have to look at your workforce. Even if you're a small company, you can't avoid that impacting on your business, your people, because somebody in poor mental health isn't going to deliver that amazing customer
No,
service,
the way I know you've described it this way before as well, but people would look at a person with a broken arm or a broken leg or whatever, and they look at okay, they're not completely well, and there's different levels of that in there, and the same
Mhm.
thing with the mental health as well. It's like it's about four identifiable stages of where you are. So
And the thing is, as well, again, we talk about physical health and we think about it in terms of a broken arm or, somebody walking with a walking stick, something we can see.
yes,
But 84% of all disabilities are what they call hidden ones. The
yes.
person with diabetes or Crohn's or colitis or endometriosis. So why do we think that when we're talking about mental health, it needs to be visible? It needs to be
Mm,
somebody crying in a corner.
yep.
So many people are just trying to get through their day, and they're so scared of the stigma that might come their way if they open up that they just keep covering it up.
Yeah.
And of course, the more you do that, the less likely you are to get the help that you need and deserve.
So tell them how they get the help. Give me some good news.
Well, there are lots of things out there. I mean, obviously, I teach mental health first aid
Yes.
courses, and I wouldn't do that if I didn't believe that that's a
Mm,
great way of improving our ability to have conversations with people. Bottom line, ask genuinely how someone
mm,
is. Not that very British. You must have come across this, Brooke. Hi, how are you? Yeah, fine, thanks. Oh, good. Walk on by.
yep.
If somebody says, I'm fine, thanks, that very British response, and you don't think it's genuine, ask them a second time.
Yep.
No, really, how are you? And take that 10, 15, 20 minutes to just let someone talk and tell you how they're genuinely feeling. And we can all do that. We can all go and do training courses where we can become better at having those kinds of conversations. As an employer, make sure that when you're talking about health and safety, and I'm a big fan of health and safety,
Yep.
I'm not knocking it at all, but health, safety and well-being, it should be linked. So many people, if they're not properly educated, and I've met health and safety managers that try to do this, will go, no, I'm health and safety, I do the physical stuff.
Yep.
That's not mine, that's HR. But actually, our health and safety legislation says something totally different. It says employers have a duty of care to assess for risks, including to our mental health.
Yep.
So make sure that health, safety, well-being, make sure that that's linking in with your HR department, that you have robust policies there, that people know how they can access that help. And if you're a small business, there's lots of help out there that's not going to cost your business a fortune. There's the Lighthouse charity, which supports people in construction. There's Ben for people in the automotive industry. There's the Education Support Partnership if you're teachers. Those are all free resources. So you can, even if you're a small organization, there's ways that you can help and support your employees.
Of course.
If you're a larger organization, consider investing in training up some mental health first aiders so that there are people in your organization who know how to have these conversations. Train your managers. When I was a first manager, I was taught to manage people before I was taught all the nuts and bolts of balancing books and getting stock in and all of those things. Nowadays, people are kind of promoted into management because they're good at their job.
Or the last man standing sometimes.
Yeah. And then they're trained.
Yeah. Yep.
And then they're trained. And, if you're 3 months into a role as a manager, you've had no experience of that, and then an employee comes to you in a state because something catastrophic's happened in their personal life.
If they're not trained for it, then
it's hard, isn't it? Too easy to make like a goldfish.
It's the old typical thing, just set up for failure, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not, taking care of your people is not just your people working, is your management, like you say, and the whole thing goes on. And you got to support those that are going to support others. Simple as that.
And I think that's the big change I've seen since COVID, that organizations are realizing if they want to recruit the best staff and keep the best staff, then they need to make sure they're putting those policies in place. And again, the latest research from Deloitte, and I'm quoting them not because they're the only people out there, but they've consistently looked at this for years, says that actually it's that age group, 18 to 28, are most likely to leave a job because they're not being treated right within it, or to review those policies for an organization before deciding to join them. So you want to keep your existing experienced staff, but obviously you also need to train up your next generation.
Yeah.
So you're being judged as an employer now. More and more people are being judged. They say that 1 in 3 people will leave a job because it's damaging their mental health.
It's either that or, and of course, a lot of things are coming down to benefits nowadays as well. And taking care of your mental health is part of your benefits.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all part of it. Right. You're doing a great job of not making this a sales presentation. I really appreciate that. However, before we get on to your walk and everything, can you tell a little bit about how people do access you and the type of work that you provide for businesses?
So I deliver the full raft of Mental Health First Aid England courses. So I can do the 2-day, the 1-day, the half-day, the refresher. I was also one of the first 32 instructors trained up to deliver the Mental Health Skills for Managers course. That was initially delivered exclusively through MHFA England because I work directly for them sometimes.
Yep.
But that became publicly available last year. So there's lots and lots of support and help and training that can be done out there. And it's easy enough. Just, you'll put my contact details out there. Just send me an email, give me a call. Happy to talk through what the options are.
And I haven't, and I've got a wonderful person come do a guest talk, David. We didn't talk about this. I sent you an email saying thank you, but yeah, he's going to be a magic. I won't use this video to talk about that, but watch this space. March the 14th is an amazing man going to come talk for us. Right. Let's talk about your little challenge. Let you talk about what you're doing.
Well, I'm a firm believer that if you do what I do for a living, you got to walk the walk, not just talk it. And part of that
what you did there, walk the walk. Yeah, I like that.
And part of that is you got to invest in your own mental health and doing the things that are good for you. And one of the things that I like doing is we live in a beautiful county. I love walking in Cornwall. But I wanted to set myself a challenge 2024. So I'm going to walk the Cornish Celtic Way. It starts in St. Germans, it tracks down to Polruan, goes across to Padstow, then tracks down the other side almost as far as St. Ives before crossing back and finishing in St. Michael's Mount. A lot of it covers the old pilgrimage walks.
Yep.
And it's about 125 miles. And I've set myself the challenge that this year, between sort of April and September, I'm going to walk the 125 miles. Might do it in less time than that, but that's my minimum time frame. But I always think if you're going to set yourself a challenge like that, you should also try and do something nice for others. So I'm going to be trying to use it to get sponsorship and raise some much needed funds for Cornwall Air Ambulance.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Well, that, I mean, we love Cornwall Air Ambulance, and actually, don't take this the wrong way, but it's good that you're helping them, because you're out on those walks on the cliff, and just in case you need them.
It's true.
But we all might
true.
need them.
Yeah.
I know some people have been saved 4 times by the air ambulance. It's
Wow.
crazy. I think
they'd
they're
learn?
they're looking for frequent flyer miles or something. I'm not sure what's going on there.
But yeah, absolutely. And in a county like ours, I mean, it's a beautiful county, but it's long and narrow.
And so maybe you need 2 helicopters, you think?
Yeah, I don't think one's enough, you know.
So Heli 2 is what it's all about, isn't it?
Absolutely. Heli 2 is definitely what it's all about, and supporting this amazing charity that's saved I don't know how many people's lives over the years. And it's it and things like the RNLI, they're not they're not
so
government funded.
Yeah.
So we need to be doing more of that. And Heli 2 is a great way to do it.
I had a good talk with the CEO of Cornwall Air Ambulance years ago, because I had the mindset of, why doesn't the NHS just pay for it and everything? And you know what? The best thing and they set me right. I mean, it's great that it's not NHS asset, because if the NHS decided to cut it, it would be gone. So that's why it's actually a trust. But that's what's great, that we have our own, rescue service that is there for us, because it can't disappear that way as long as we support it, which is what you're doing.
Exactly, which is why we need to do it. So it's also about raising awareness of some of the great work that they do, not just helping to raise some funds, but also making people aware that they are there and the amazing work they do.
I don't think you know this, but this is kind of full circle as well, because when after military and some other things I did, I had just decided I wasn't going to do anything else, and I'd gone to start volunteer with the air ambulance. And that's when certain people said, maybe you want to do this networking thing. Because remember, it wasn't my idea. So I'm glad whenever we can help support the air ambulance anyway, because that was what I was set out to do anyway. So cool. So you're going to walk the walk. I know we talked beforehand. So my walkers out there, Miss Annie Page, Mr. Edward Chapman, and many, many more. She's also going to be looking for people that want to walk alongside with her as well.
Yeah,
and
not the whole thing. They don't have to do the whole thing, but just a little bit of company. Nice, some of them would be nice. Yeah, absolutely.
Bring a few extra sandwiches and stuff, whatever along the way, or maybe some chocolate. But that's another discussion, isn't it?
You're allowed that when you're walking, aren't you?
Yeah, while you're walking, you're burning it off. It's fun. And then you've got your little passport thing as well.
So when you do the Cornish Celtic Way walk, there's a couple of things that you can do. One of which is the little passport, where at various locations there are stamps that are available, so you can just get it stamped, prove to people you were there. I mean, if people are parting with their hard-earned cash, they want to know that you've done it and didn't just have a nice bus trip.
Cool.
And also, it'll be a little bit of a lasting reminder for me.
We didn't talk about this before we went on air, but I'm going to put the challenge out there. If anybody else wants to do this, not so much along with you at the same time, but they could join up. You could maybe walk different parts of it, because it's just logistics. If you had 5 or 6 people that wanted to do it, it's getting the right schedules, and then and somebody gets sick or whatever. But you could do different bits together, but everybody complete the course over a period of time.
Absolutely. I mean, the more the merrier. There's more money.
Yeah, I think Shane Solomon should do it. I'll have a word with him.
The problem with that is Shane is so busy. When's he ever going to have the time?
It'll be fine.
He could come and do some of it, couldn't he?
He could come I can come to do some of it as well. Be fine. Yeah. Great. But look, I want to thank you for this today. I want to thank you for everything that you do and helping so many people. And you are passionate about it. I mean,
I am very passionate about
it. You're there's more passion in what you do than there are colors in your coat you're wearing. So.
That's saying something.
It is. But so anything you want to know about this, you'll see the connections on here to be able to get a hold of her. Oh, and the studio itself, I always like to give a good shout out. So thank you once again to Corcoran Media for having us out here. You've been out here before. I know it's changed a little bit since last time we were out as well.
Still a great venue.
What would you say if anybody's not been out here before, if they should come use it?
Well, I will quote David, that you're about to meet, who's seen some of the work that's been done by it, and sadly lives up in Yorkshire, so he can't access it. And he's been on things like Oprah and Alan Titchmarsh and stuff, and he said this is an incredibly professional setup, and he's just gutted he can't use it himself. So I don't need to say any more than that because I'll let an expert tell it.
Well, when he's down, we'll have to get him in the studio.
That'd be fantastic.
Excellent. Well, thank you once again for all you do, like I said, and we look forward to seeing you again on another your Cornish Partnerships. Look, that background I went way back there, didn't I?
Yeah,
your
you did.
Partnerships meet. Sorry about it. It's all good. It's all good. 6 years old this month. Great.
I know.
Amazing.
So
anyway,
off to junior school soon.
all right. Thanks again. We'll see you soon. Take care.